Hello and welcome to another episode of Sandy Coder Project. As you can see in front of me, I have the 1953 Chevy 3100 frame sitting here assembled and basically ready to go. But the problem is winter is approaching and I need this to be disassembled and weatherproof. So to do that, we're going to have to send it out for powder coating. So what we're going to do is we're going to start disassembling this to go out for powder coating. The trailer is actually sitting right in front of the garage. Once that's done, we'll put it up onto the trailer and send it out to get powder coated, and then we'll come back, reassemble everything once the powder coating has been finished. To get started, one of the first things that we're going to do is we're going to take apart the rear end assembly off of the car, removing the rear end housing and any of the link bars from anything that's going to go out to be powder coated, because of the fact that there's oil inside of the rear end, and that cannot go out for powder coating because of the fact that powder coating requires that the parts be baked at around 400 degrees, and that would cook all the oil inside of it. The other problem is the link bars have to be taken off because they have rubber bushings inside of them, and the rubber bushings will end up becoming cooked as well, and that can't be done inside of an oven, so we either have to remove the bushings off of them, or we have to paint those as well. So as I go through this process, this is actually going to be my best friend, because I'm going to be taking this and categorizing which came off left and right and what's going to go out for powder coating and what's not. But some of the parts will actually stay in place because we have some frame mounts and stuff that have been added to the frame, and those will stay. Even with the bolts on them, they'll go into the powder coating setup that way. All right, so what you can see here, I have the rear end completely disassembled from the frame. I have the upper and lower link bars removed and the shocks removed from it. So it's actually on the ground now, and I'm going to roll it out of the way so that I can deal with the rear end assembly separate. And then I'm going to remove the upper and lower link bars and catalog them so that I can put those back on once the frame comes back. So as you can see, I have the bars off of the rear end, and the rear end slid out of the way. Unfortunately, I don't have enough space in my garage to be able to get around everywhere. But then moving up to the front, I've taken the front wheels off, and the goal is going to be to try and get as much of this off all in one shot so that I can deal with it separately from the frame. But everything on this front end assembly is going to end up having to come off before I can get this up onto the trailer. One of the first things I did on this front end was remove the power steering rack off of the front of it. The next thing I'm going to do is remove this sway bar off of it here. Get those parts out of the way. The sway bar and the steering rack has been taken out. I've disassembled this side, but I want to show what I've taken off. Taken off the two pins that hold the upper A-arm assembly, the top shock mount, and then the hardware for the back pin that controls the lower control arm. All of that is going to make it to where I can pull this whole assembly out in one shot. So that's what I'm aiming for, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and we'll be completely stripped down. All right, so that's the front assembly off of it. One of the disappointing things was I ended up having to take the shock off because the shock tower bolt was a little too high for me to be able to sneak the upper control arm over the shock tower upper control arm mount. But now I have it all stripped down to just the frame. So there's a couple of things that have to happen. I have to strip down these parts and some of the parts on the rear end, and catalog the rest of them so that they can go out. All right, so here it is all torn down. As you can see, I've got the frame onto the trailer to go out for powder coating. I've still got to break down all the suspension and steering components. Tractor's running, so I'm going to pull this thing out of the garage, give myself some space to work. At the beginning of this video, I had mentioned that I wanted to try and get this project finished before the winter sets in. We actually ended up taking a break, and winter is now almost over. The frame is out at powder coating, and currently I have taken all the front control arms and brakes and that whole assembly apart and have it wrapped up so that I can paint it. I'm going to be using a specific type of paint, and let me show you the parts that I've taken off that aren't going to be painted. All right, so all of these parts are not going to be painted. I'm not going to paint the rotors, obviously, but all this hardware doesn't need to be painted. You can get fancy if you want to and try and do the heads and stuff, but in this case, I'm not going to. But this is this is all the left side stuff, and as you can see, the boots actually rotted out, and I've ordered a new set. This is because I didn't oil them, and they sat for close to a year not having anything on them. All right, so this is the paint I'm going to be using. It's called Eastwood Extreme Chassis Black. I'm in no way sponsored by them. It's just a good quality paint. It's in satin finish black, which is what we're doing the chassis in. And the advantage of this paint is it does a lot of different things. It doesn't pay attention to the fact that there's oil on the paint. It also has some rust inhibiting stuff. All right, so I've got the first coat of paint on everything. I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'm gonna put another coat of paint across everything. Then what's gonna happen is I'm gonna flip everything over, do the other side, and I'll just double check everything to make sure everything's painted all the way. And this bad boy right here, I haven't even started on. I've got to completely tear this down and get all those parts ready to do the same thing once I get the other end done. All right, so it's been a few days since I started this. They've now got 2 coats of paint on them, and the frame is back. So this stuff's going to start getting reassembled. I'm still waiting on the boots for the upper and lower control arm. Once those come in, assembly will go really fast and easy. I'll be able to get the entire front end together. All right, so I'm preparing to get everything put back together. I had to order new ball joint boots because the original ones that were on this rotted while it was sitting out in the field. The bottoms of these are not metal reinforced. The replacement ones that Speedway sent are metal reinforced, which means they're much more heavy duty on the bottom. But the problem is, if you notice, there's a ridge that this is supposed to sit in, and this cup does not fit into that ridge. It sits right on top of it. So what I'm having to do is modify these boots to fit down inside of them, just basically grinding down the metal ring that's inside of them until the diameter is skinny enough to fit inside of this. Now, anytime you're going to do a major build project like this, you should be prepared to modify absolutely everything, if not build it all yourself, because sometimes this is the way stuff goes. All right, so the front end install of this is going to go really similar to that of the Mustang 2 front end install, other than the fact that some of the parts are already installed, and once I'm done with this, they'll go permanently on. Right now, everything is getting mocked up into place. The upper and lower control arms have just been put on the one side. On the other side, I've put the upper and lower control arms and the shock. I'm going to put the shock in on this side still. All right, so this is the point I want this to get to before I move on, and the reason why is because I don't want the spindle shafts to be exposed while I'm working on the other side. There's a lot of dirt and dust down below, so I want to make sure that the rotors get installed over the top of them, because the bearings are already greased for that, and there's seals on the back that'll help protect them. So this assembly goes pretty easy. You bolt the shock to the lower part and run the shock up through the tower. This goes on fairly loose. You set everything fairly parallel and lock down the T-bolts. As you may notice, the T-bolts are in the other way. When I put them in to begin with, I wasn't paying attention. I just threw them in. So this is the direction the T-bolts go, up from the bottom, and the reason why is because they lock into the plate, and then you don't have to get a wrench or anything into there. You do everything from the top, which makes it easier to make adjustments once you have the tires on it. You're trying to set the level of the tire in and out so that it's not too far out or too far in. So then cotter pins are now locked down for the final time. I need to fill these with grease, and then I'm going to be working on the other side. All right, so from this point with the rotors on, next I had to put on the calipers. They have a C-clamp bracket, which has a big bolt here and a small bolt here. Both of those I put some low grade Loctite on just to make sure they don't back out, because those are basically permanently going to be placed in position. Next, I put a little bit of lube on the 2 slide pins, top and bottom, for the caliper, and then installed the caliper. All right, so the next thing that was done is I installed the steering rack back into place, mounting these very large bolts in through the cross member that's going to support the engine, and reattaching these. All right, so this sway bar right here is the last remaining component for the front end. Tightened up the 2 bolts that go through the frame here, and the bolt that mounts it to the suspension end. It's exactly the same on the other end. I put a little the low strength Loctite on this. I did not put anything on this. This just goes in tight enough to get a few threads through the nylock, and then nothing any tighter. All right, so as I slowly progress forward, I've greased and lubed and set basically vertical the wheels. I kind of put them at 0 toe, 0 camber, 0 caster, just kind of zeroed them out so that I'd be able to push the car around really easily. Once I get the cab on and everything's starting to get built, then I can set how that's going to be permanently. But since I've gotten the tires on, I've gotten the tires off of the rear end, and they're just sitting out in the back, and I'm starting to disassemble the rear axle so that I can paint it up and get it put back underneath,
One of the biggest pains was getting these shocks off. The shocks have a 10 millimeter Allen socket that has to go in the back of it. I didn't have one, and I've been wrestling with this for a little while, so I ended up going to the store and buying one. So I'm going to take the brakes and the brakes calipers off of this setup, and then I'm going to mask off anything that needs to be masked off, and then we'll start painting these. All right, so this is where we're torn down to for paint. I'm going to paint the axles and the brake brackets into place so that everything is black, and then I'm going to paint the calipers, which may actually already have a coat of paint on them except for those back functioning parts, but they're all going to get painted by the time I'm done. I didn't want the drive shaft area to get paint inside of where the U-joint is going to be sitting. I don't really care about behind it and the hardware, so that doesn't really matter to me, but this is more important. I don't really want it slopping around on the paint in there. All right, so the rear third member looks to have a little bit of oil all over it. I actually put some grease cutting stuff on it, so this stain should not be a problem, especially since the paint that I've got has a grease absorbing agent as well. So this won't end up affecting our paint once everything's said and done. Parts not getting painted for reference are the shock, the rotor, the slide pins for the brakes and the brake pads, and the banjo bolt for the brakes. All right, so everything is done being painted for the rear end assembly. Now I have to take all the masking tape off of everything and start to reinstall all the parts back onto the axle. All right, so the entire rear end is reassembled. As you notice, I don't have the shocks on it. I'm going to put those on as I'm putting the trailing arms on. It's just easier once everything's in place. And as you may notice, or you will in a bit, there's a ding on the top of the rear end. With any project that you do, you have to assume that mistakes and bad things are going to happen, especially when you're working by yourself. So what ended up happening is, as I was getting this rear end completely assembled and putting the wheels on it, the entire thing flipped off of the jack and dropped onto the floor upside down. So on the top of the rear end, it dinged the paint. But that's why you always, when you're done, keep a little bit extra of your paint so that just in case something bad happens, you can easily repair it. All right, that is it completed. The rear end is on. It is done. Everything is bolted back down and torqued. Upper control arms are in. Lower control arms are in. Rear shocks are mounted back into place, both sides. And I had already assembled the rear end. So this is it. Just giving you a chance to get a look at it. One last time before I wrap up this video. Give you a sec to check out the front end as well, completed and done. As I mentioned a while back, I want to have this done before winter set in, and I missed it, and then ended up sitting on it all winter with the parts completely taken apart off of this thing, and then I sent it out for powder coating basically right at the very beginning of spring, and now I've reassembled it all, and this is it for now. Let me let you in on the next part of the plan. That'll make this make a lot more sense. That is the cab sitting in there. That is going to come into the garage. We're going to do a little work to that, get it ready to go onto the frame. Once it is inside of here, that will become a video, and it will end with that being mounted onto here. There's also a roll cage that needs to go into the XJ. As always, thank you for watching. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We'll keep making more of this content.